Hello, my name is Paul Priestley and this is ArtTutorialsOnline.com. Today I'm going to be showing you how to paint part 2 of our landscape project, concentrating on scale, making the small things look as though they're at the back and the big things look as though they are at the front of the painting. Let's make a start. For stage 2 of this painting, I'm adding burnt umber to the mix. So I've still got my ultramarine, titanium white, lemon yellow, cadmium yellow, crimson and cadmium red. Now, we put in the basics last time. All we're going to do this time is to add some trees to this. But the reason I want to show you this is because I want to show you how to put the trees, bearing in mind two things. First of all, scale, the size of the trees in the foreground compared with the ones in the background. And secondly, tone. The trees in the background, although they may look dark from a distance, are actually quite light. Imagine I've got some trees running along the top of this hill here. This hill is in the distance, so therefore it's got to be quite light. So what I'm going to do is to mix up the colour, which I'm using a little bit of my ultramarine, a little bit of my lemon yellow, make it more neutral by adding a hint of burnt umber to it. And all I'm going to do is just tap. I'm just going to bring a line just along, soften the edges up down the bottom here. Okay. And by just softening the edge down at the bottom there, it just fixes these onto our tree. I might want to put a few more a little bit further down. All I can do is just do a few little press, you see. As they come down, you might even make some of them slightly dark. But all I'm doing is just tap with my brush, and they're going away into the distance here, and then just bring the brush along and soften it down. Just rub it along with your finger. You see, it makes it look as though they're actually sitting onto the surface. You could bring some trees coming down slightly further forward and just do mix up a slightly bit more colour here. And stop here, because it's going to go obviously underneath the tree. Just again, soften that bottom edge, bring it round and so on. Just tapping along, just run your finger along the bottom. You see how I begin to do that? Imagine we're going to put a few trees basically along this side here. I might even put a few little spots, you see, a few little lines as you can see here. I shall then tap on the top, but this time, because these trees are closer to me, I'm making them taller. So I'm just blocking in some of this colour here. Look on top, with lighter coloured. Just a few little bit more texture on here. Just run the line along the bottom, just very, very gently. Just soften it down a little bit. And we have a few little trees. It creates a shadow as it goes away to distance. So I've got a few little trees now that are looking a little bit more as they are closer to me. So I've just made the colours a little bit darker. If you want to make a little shadow on your trees, just do a little bit of blue, just tap in a little bit of just a few little sections here, just to give it a little bit of texture. If you wanted a hedge, for example, coming down here, you may have little hedges coming down. You might have a hedge maybe coming down here. And as it comes down here, it gets a little bit darker and stronger. I'm just going to take a little bit of my water. And you can see it just, we could have another hedge, we'll do another one in the other. It gets a little bit wider. And again, just a touch of water on your brush, just soften the bottom edge. On the top edge, but just the bottom edge, just fade it away almost to nothing over here. So it begins to look as though it's sitting actually on the line. So you can see we're beginning to make these look, so it goes in distance. Imagine we have a tree further forward. Here I'm going to use a little bit of my burnt umber. Please don't paint tree trunks brown because they're not brown. Have a look at them. I'm going to use a little bit of burnt umber, a little bit of blue. But this time, because these are quite close to me, I'm going to do them with something slightly different. Maybe we have a tree, I don't know, maybe we have a tree over here. And I'm bringing my tree trunk up here. A couple of trees close together. If you're not careful, these trees will look as though they're floating on the landscape. We don't want to do that. So we just put a few brushes on, brush marks up here. The same as we did with the trees below, we need to fix these trees onto the landscape. So to do that, I'm mixing up my green tones. I'm going to just put a few little marks on here. And as I begin to soften this down here, you see it begins to fit them into the landscape. Now, you'll notice the scale of my tree. You see how big and how tall this tree is. And we're going to put areas in here which are quite dark. I'm blocking some of this in. Leave some areas to show through. Block it in. Yeah, nice trees over here. Might have a few little marks coming across here. So let that, leave that as it stands just for the moment. I'm not worried too much about composition here, but you will notice that the size of this and the dark tones against the light tones. You see how the dark against the light makes things stand out. I'm going to go back to my tree trunk. I'm going to take a little bit of white paint and add it to my greeny grey mixture. And I'm just going to put a few little lights maybe coming in this direction. Put a few little marks down the side of my tree here. See, in white, my white and grey tone here, just to give you a few little blobs here and there, a few lines down there. When we come to do the foreground, I'm mixing up a blue and burnt umber mixture, and I'm going to take my brush and drag it upwards because everything grows upwards, so you need to make things look as though it's going upwards. Just a few little lines, just a few little textures. And I'm just literally dragging my brush. Okay. Now you can see how this will begin to build a nice, interesting shape. I've got lots of dark areas here, and I might decide that I'm going to block in some of these areas here. Take a little bit of my burnt umber and lighten it with a little bit of yellow so that we have a much lighter colour. I might take then just yellow and white. You can see how we're beginning to build this up. And this time lots and lots of white. So you can see how we're beginning to build the texture at the front here. And of course, you know, if you wanted to put a little flower in, you can put dots, little white spots here. You can see just add a little bit of interest to the foreground. If you wanted to put some grasses on, you may do that over here. And again, just start with the same thing. Dark greens, then just with very, very dark tones. This is how we might do the grass in the foreground if you wanted to do something like that. And then you work on top with lighter tones. Dragging it up. And gradually you can get lighter and lighter. So it's a way of introducing a little texture to your foreground of your picture. Okay, we'll just finish off by putting a few little lighter tones over here. So I'm just going to mix up a very, very much lighter green. We'll imagine the light coming in this direction, so I'm just going to use 3 tones, a lighter green now, and I'm just tapping some of these lighter greens on top of my nice warm greens on top. See, just add a little bit of texture to it. Now, I'm just doing this very quickly, but you can see basically the structure. The idea of this is to make sure that when you have completed your picture, you begin to suggest a little bit of lighter tone, and we'll put a few little lighter spots in here as well, because you might get a few. Okay, right, I'm going to leave it there. The idea is this. This is not meant to be a complete picture. This is simply meant to show you how, by creating texture in the foreground, we've got these 2 areas of texture here, 2 different ways of doing this, you know, using greens, using warm colours. Creating texture here, texture against non-texture will always come forward. Size against large against small will always come forward. Dark tones against light tones will always come forward. Okay, if you can remember those basic elements, then you can obviously then design this and build this into your painting that you're beginning to work, because this is just an example of how you might set about doing it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching ArtTutorialsOnline.com. I hope you've enjoyed watching the video. My name is Paul Priestley. If you want to watch more of my videos, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.